Good morning. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Fullerton. My name is Tomoko Rosas, and I'm a practitioner at this beautiful center. Please join me in stating our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. And before we get started, I have some housekeeping. Today is New Member Sunday and reception. Welcome to Religious Science little workshop, and hello, how are you? Please stay afterwards, even if you're not joining the church, but we will have a little ceremony with Sally and Reverend Bill for the new members today. Calling out for stories for answered prayer for the holiday newsletter. Have you received the little folded newsletters in the mail?
Yes.
Do you enjoy the stories? Would you like to share your story for the holiday newsletter? Please send it in if you have like an aha, answered prayer, testimonial will be good too. So anything that has something to do with spiritual awakening, any little story, but it has to be a personal, real, true story of your own. So please send it in. And if you have any questions, please come see me. Fall classes information is still in the program and calling out for the students. And I have contacted a few students, so we'll have a date really shortly. Terry Wilder is back with us on November 14, and if you have never had a gong meditation session, I encourage everyone to come and join. And if you have done it before, you know what it's like, so please join us again on the 14th. Mark your calendar and please join us for our Thanksgiving and Commitment Luncheon. It's going to be a feast. The board and I had talked about it already, so I think, as always, we always have a lot of food. So please join us for that. And that's going to be on the 21st of November. Personal declaration booklet and commitment card is ready and available. And I know that some of you already received last year's in the mail. And if you haven't done one before, please come see me and I'll give you one. And more information will be in the program next week. And thank you everyone for participating in our Unexpected Income Club. It has been a wonderful success, and it's been 2 years. It's been 2 years on the 20th. So we have reached our goal and surpassed it. Our $12,000 goal was surpassed. And now we are putting our money into our building fund, our new church building fund. I know it's a drop in a bucket, but we know miracles happen around here. So we see it as a seed money, and so today total is $13,551.07. It's amazing. It's amazing. And we're a small group. And the new display, we're working on it. Carol and I are working on it, and it'll be available next week to look at. So thank you so much.
And now I invite everyone to turn within to the center of your being and just allow your minds and your hearts to come together as we celebrate love and celebrate our church and new members today. We have so much love here at our center, and we have love that comes from that divine spark within us and goes around to each one of us. And Father, Mother, God, I know that we are all connected and we are one in spirit, one in life, and one in love. And I know that today our service is a perfect blessing to each one of us, and I speak my word of thanks to all who have made it possible. I thank our Board of Trustees, our practitioners, our musicians, our ushers, coffee fellowship people, and those who work in the office. And there's special words of blessing for Reverend Dr. Bill Salisbury, and I know that we will each hear the message we were meant to hear today, and we thank him for his inspiring words. And I bless everyone here, and I bless those at home as well. And I just say thank you with a grateful heart, knowing that the service is whole, perfect, and complete.
I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome. I'm Carol Riseling, a practitioner here at our center. And for today's reading, I have selected something from Terry Cole Whitaker's book, Every Saint Has a Past, Every Sinner a Future. And this is a story about one of her students. The book is filled with little stories and insights from her years as a minister and teacher of the science of mind. This is a story about her student named Harvey. Now, Harvey's mother had been the strongest influence in his life since his father had passed away when Harvey was a young boy. Harvey was taught to work hard, do community service, and strive to reach his goals. He had been an honor student in school and went on to be a respected lawyer. But Harvey's problem was his son. Because Harvey wanted to give his son everything he himself had never had as a young boy. He lavished gifts on him and protected him from the challenges of life. His son got into trouble early on in school, and this pattern continued way past high school. Every time, Harvey was there to bail him out of jail and to pay the bills. He never let his son suffer the consequences of his own actions. Instead of his son being appreciative or showing any kind of love and respect to his father, he was cruel, angry, lazy, and discourteous. The most difficult decision Harvey would ever have to make was one to release his son and let him live his own life and reap the good or bad results of his own actions. The one thing that Harvey had neglected to understand was that he had grown into such a successful, wealthy, and respected man through the wisdom and love of his mother, and that his son had to earn that. Unlike his son, he had to earn every advantage. Within time, Harvey's son began to make some advancement, but it took a while, for he had to make his own way through the real-life school of hard knocks. Within time, though, he was successful and ready to learn and apply the principles of the science of mind. Harvey knew that God was his source of infinite supply, but his son believed that Harvey was his source. He wasn't, but God the Father was and is. For unless people willingly change their consciousness, it is business as usual. And through the magnetic quality of consciousness, they will continue to draw to them the same circumstances over and over until they change their mind and behavior. Through the law of attraction, we can all draw to ourselves the most desirable people, things, and circumstances by creating the right mentality, force field, and mental equivalent. In essence, develop the attitude, habits, and actions that are appropriate for who and what you desire to be, and you will be able to achieve your goals and live your dreams. By creating a shield of discernment, we are able to accept the favorable and reject the unfavorable. And now let us pray. Just knowing and sensing that God is the one life, the one mind, the one love, and the one source of our being. For we live and move and have our being in divine love. And I speak my word for the highest and best life, the highest and best love for each one of us. I know that we each make the right choices and we choose to live healthy, happy, and successful lives. What a joy it is to be alive. And I know that our lives are a wondrous journey, and each day is filled with joy and happiness. And with a thankful heart, I release this prayer, knowing that it is already done, and so it is.
We are held in the hands of grace, forever safe in the arms of love. Like a child receives protection from a mother's warm embrace, we are held in the hands of grace. We are held in the heart of love, forever safe in the arms of love. When we follow the direction from a whisper up above, we are held in the hands of love. Follow the direction from a whisper from above. We are held in the hands of love. We are held in the hands of love.
Cosentino, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, and he's ours. title of today's talk is The Myth of Lost Love. Spoiler alert, there's a lot of truth to the fact that the myth of lost love is indeed a myth. You know, last week we talked about kind of sort of the two basic areas of myth, the two basic things we mean when we say myth. And last week the talk was centered around that part of myth as being a story, whether or not it's true, that holds those fundamental truths for our lives. So whether it really happened or not, doesn't matter. What we glean from it is that absolute truth that we can use to navigate this world. And then I mentioned that the other meaning of myth was a wives' tale, I think is how we put it. Okay, like that's just a load of malarkey, right? It's not true. And it didn't happen, even if you say it did. And you know, there's hundreds of them. Who has not heard an old wives' tale? We've all heard them. And that's the meaning I want to give to myth when we talk about the myth of lost love. There's no such thing as lost love. We, in many instances, we might say, well, I don't know, I lost this or I lost that. And it's true we did, because as we progress in this world, we lose a lot of things. They come and they go. Remember that this life is all about change. So we might lose the object of our love. But we don't lose the love that we had. And most of us have lost somebody, a person, a relationship in our lives. But has anybody ever said, oh dear, I lost so-and-so, and I lost the love I had for him or her? No, in fact, the only thing that carries on from our relationships is the love. And I know what you're thinking. Well, that dirty, no good so-and-so that I had to divorce, or I had to fire, or I had to just move away from, kick out of my life altogether. Okay. Energy, physicists tell us, the amount of energy in the universe this minute is the exact same amount of energy in the universe at its inception. Because energy never increases or decreases. It never goes away. It just is. Thankfully, because everything that we live in is energy. Everything we draw upon is energy. Love is energy. That's our spiritual energy. So if we say, yeah, talking about that relationship that just had to end because it turned toxic, key word there, turned toxic. It obviously wasn't in the beginning, or you wouldn't have felt what you call love toward that person or situation or thing. So the love itself didn't go away. When we put it out there, whatever this thing is, whether it's that butterfly in the stomach or that heart palpitating or that, oozy feeling all over, whatever that is that we call love, when we put it out there, when we allow it to flow through us and radiate into our lives and into our world, there it stays. Now, it's true, somewhere along the line, we might redirect that love. But in redirection, we haven't taken away what we already put into the world, what we already put into the ether, as it was, what we put into the race consciousness. It can't be taken back. Everything we put into the world is forever and always there. Now, we might put our awareness somewhere else. We might totally and completely remove our consciousness from that love that we felt for whatever or whomever at the time, but that doesn't change the fact that it's out there. And God bless us for contributing to that overall race consciousness love. I've spoken about Franz Kafka before, in passing. He was a writer, a novelist, and later had the term existential philosopher attached to him. Not something he was promoting. And he died at a very young age. He died at 40. But in the year before he died, he was walking through a park in Berlin, and he came across a young girl who had lost her doll, her favorite doll. And she was sobbing and crying, and he just felt so much emotion, so much feeling coming through for her. He said, yeah, I'll help you look for the doll. And they looked and they looked and they looked and they searched, and no luck. Finally, he says to her, listen, meet me here tomorrow and we'll look some more. So she meets him there tomorrow in the park, and they look and they look and they look and they look and they can't find the doll. But Franz Kafka whips a letter out of his pocket, and he comes back and joins with her, because they had gone their separate ways looking, and he says, I didn't find the doll, but I found this letter from her. And the letter said, I'm off on a marvelous adventure. I'm off to see the world. I'm off to make my mark and experience all the excitement I can find. And the little girl said, wow. And then every week after that, they met in the park, and Franz Kafka brought her another letter telling about her explorations, about her experiences, about all the activities she's doing and the fun and the joy that she's having. And then after a period of a couple of months, he went down to the store and he bought her a replacement doll. So he gives her the doll and she says, it's not my doll. And he hands her another letter, and the letter from the doll says, oh, my travels have changed me tremendously. I know I don't look or feel anything like what I did before, but I'm still yours. At the end of that year, Franz Kafka died. He was 40 years old when he died. And not then, but many, many, many years later, this little girl, now an adult woman with kids of her own, gets that doll out, and she finds buried in it another little letter. And it says, you will probably lose everything you love in your life, but love will return in a different fashion. And yes, we do. We are going to lose everything we love. Deal with that. Sometimes that's a little, a little depressing, isn't it? But we are going to, because that's what this world is all about. What we are never going to lose is that love that we come from, that is within us and that we live constantly in, that will allow us to redirect that love onto the next great adventure for ourselves. So we can't lose it. I don't feel like we can. But it doesn't ever go away. And that, I think, is pretty good. So, what about those times when we say, sorry, Bill, just ain't feeling it. This isn't working for me anymore. What's up? Or we give it the, oh God, I'm so stupid. I'm so this, I'm so that, I'm so the other thing. They say that babies only have fear of two things: fear of loud noises and fear of falling. All other fear is acquired. Isn't that great? We don't even know all the gifts we're going to get, but they're all going to be acquired, and we get to have them all, including all those various ways that fear shows up in our lives. The only thing that can overcome fear in its myriad forms is love. I know we want to think it's faith, but if we don't have love, we can't have faith. So really, the opposite of fear isn't faith, the opposite of fear is love, and that is displayed through our faith in the fact that, is there any Course in Miracles people here? If you haven't read the Course in Miracles, I think you should get into it because it's quite the thing. And I think it's 365 daily lessons. And if you're thinking they're your grandma's daily affirmations, not so. This book will kick your butt. But lesson number 50 of those 365 is understanding that we are sustained in everything just by the love of God. So when all else fails and all this tumultuous kind of stuff going on in our lives affects us, and it will. I mean, who among us is not affected by conditions of the world and by events and occasions that happen to us? Nobody is. Anybody who tells you that doesn't faze me? Myth. In this sense of the word. That's why we're built with myth meters, sometimes known as BS meters. Because we need to understand that part of this life is learning, and part of the way we learn is to experience things that we don't like, as well as things we like. But we have to know what we don't like before we can appreciate, I guess, what we do like. You know, in mainstream Christianity, they have this thing they call original sin. What's up, Doc? Original sin. Here in Science of Mind, we have what we call original blessing. Because that's what we come to this plane of existence with, is an original blessing. There's no such thing as something or someone, somehow, some spirit that created us with the sole purpose of having us miserable. Never happened. We come with the blessing that is this. We have a power and a presence available to us at all times and for all eternity that we can draw upon to make our lives the very best they can be. Well, and then there is this little thing. We were born with something else that could cause us to refute that if we wish. We have choice. We have volition. And it's a good thing. Because if we didn't have the freedom to choose, we'd all just be robots, wouldn't we? We'd be programmed and sent out, and everybody does the same thing all the time, blah, blah, blah. And there wouldn't be change in this world. But there is. So I want to get away from the, oh yeah, I started talking about the Course in Miracles, didn't I? Here's what the Course in Miracles says about salvation, because we need to take this to heart. Salvation is the correction of the misbelief in separation. that is in our separation from God. That's all it is. It is equated with the process of atonement, which undoes the error through a change in thinking, not penance or sacrifice of the body as had been traditionally taught. The instrument of salvation is forgiveness, the correction for our misperception of others. Where previously we had judged someone as being our enemy, the agent or cause of our distress, now that same individual is seen as our friend. So kind of a corollary to this is the whole premise of the Course in Miracles, or a major premise of it, is every thought, every word, every action we do is either an expression of love or it's a call for love, for healing, for help. And if you think about it, I mean, really think about it, you'll discover that's the truth. We are either expressing love, and at any time, for any reason, no matter how small or how great, that we're not doing that, it's a cry for help. Think back when you were a child. Pretty sure we all must have done this, but when you didn't get what you wanted, after, trying and trying and trying, and you threw yourself down on the floor and you started pounding your hands and your feet. Don't tell me you didn't do it. Were you pounding your hands and your feet and your parts of your body against the floor because, I don't know, you thought you were going to hurt the floor? Or you were intentionally going to hurt yourself? Come on, none of us really pounded hard enough to hurt ourselves, did we? It was more for show. It was more the dog and pony show. But at bottom, it was a cry for help. It was a call for something to happen to you, to be given to you. And when I say given to you, I don't mean physically necessarily a thing, like a new toy or a little red wagon or a Red Ryder BB gun or a doll. I'm just talking about you needed something. And this was calling out to your parents about, I need help. And it shows up in so many different ways, but if we understand, remember the part about the key to salvation is forgiveness. Here's where it gets really tough. Here's where the rubber meets the road, and it's really difficult. We have to understand every time somebody does something that we don't like, or we think shouldn't, judgment, and we do judge, every one of us, all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're hardwired to judge because it's judging that stops us from walking off the cliff or stepping out in front of a bus or jumping in the fire. But when we're judging personality-wise, that's just a sign to us that we have lost our grounding, that we need to get back, we need to forgive, and we need to understand that that person doing something to us is just a call for help. Now, it's true, everybody may call for help to somebody who can't help them. Can't help them all the way, can't give them exactly what they want. But that's not the point. The point is when we're doing, saying, or thinking something from fear, we're doing it hoping that whoever we're in front of can do something, can wave that magic wand, can perform a miracle. Miracle being only that which is not in our day-to-day perception. Because miracles happen all the time, don't they? But if we can understand that that person who's doing that god-awful, terrible thing to us, who just said that cutting, biting remark to us, or who actually looked like they were threatening us somehow, some way, if we can understand that's their version of a call for help, guess what happens? We take ourselves out of that equation, don't we? If we remain in that equation, we're going to take it personally, and we're going to feel persecuted or threatened, and we're going to participate in that same fear that caused him or her to do what they did, so we could construe it, perceive it as something wrong. But if we take ourselves out of the equation, it doesn't have to affect us. Should we go through the rest of our day because somebody said something not very nice to us, go through the rest of ruin for ourselves the rest of the day just because of that? No, we just got to understand, hey, wasn't about me after all. Oh, I know, he described me pretty perfectly. Looked just like me, sounded just like me, but he wasn't talking to me. He was talking to himself and addressing it to me. And once we can understand that we can take ourselves out of the equation, understand that that's where this perceived wrong came from, we can forgive that person. And indeed, in that act alone, we're performing a miracle, and maybe the one they were looking for, maybe the one that helps them out of that. And guess what? When we can do that, if you ever said anything out of line to somebody, you ever said anything mean to somebody, or cruel to somebody, or done something that really wasn't in their best interest? Yeah. Yes, you have. But if we can understand the same thing for us that we understand for the other person who did that to us, we can forgive ourselves. Love has two BFFs: forgiveness and gratitude. And if we can forgive and we can have the gratitude that comes, wow, somebody has a page marker left a coffee stirrer in my book. Huh. Funny thing, he left it not on the right page for what I wanted to do. So along with the Course in Miracles came a whole cottage industry full of books, by the way. The main thrust of them from Marianne Williamson, I think. But this one from Martha Lucia Espinosa, because we're talking about miracles and talking about how things can seem to not go our way, or they can. Oh, day 13. I don't know what we did with the first 12 days, but on day 13 she says, miracles fall like drops of healing rain from heaven on a dry and dusty world where starved and thirsty creatures come to die. That's us. So while we're here, we do away with the starving and the thirst by how? By filling with that bounteous abundance of joy and peace and harmony and love and community that was put here with us. Oh yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to mention from here. Day 17. I don't know what happens with the other 4 days either, but on day 17 we come to understand that an untrained mind causes damage. And in this teaching, the Course in Miracles teaching, it's about training your mind to understand that miracles abound. Because we don't always train our mind for that. When we say something, when we see something that we don't understand, but we're happy to be the recipient of, we say, oh, a miracle. Or, oh, what I need is a miracle. Everything is a miracle. Albert Einstein told us that. Scientist, he said, everything is a miracle. Now, we don't have to look at it that way because, why? We have choice. But I'm not sure that wouldn't be a really good way to look at it anyway. Speaking of Marianne Williamson, have you ever done this? She was talking one day about, I'm going to date some of us right here, but there used to be a commercial on TV. Anybody remember V8 juice, vegetable juice? V8 juice? I mean, they bought every 30-second spot on TV for the longest time, and the commercial went basically like this. Oh, I could have had a V8 instead of whatever it was they had drank. That wasn't, of course, nearly as good. That's us. When we lose track of the fact that we are here as miracles, to be, to produce, to enjoy, to understand miracles, when we are here realizing it, our consciousness is totally aware of the miracle we are, and that everything revolves around this thing called love, we don't have to do, oh, I could have had a V8, because we're having it. We're having it already. So in our view, it would be kind of, oh, I could have had love instead of this. Oh, I could have felt good instead of this. Oh, I could be enjoying life instead of this. Let's do that. I mean, why don't we just do that? We need to go from information to application. Because don't we all know all this already? We do know it already. But aren't there some of those times during the day and the week and the month that we kind of forget it, that it kind of drifts into the back of our mind because so many more things, important things have come up? What can be more important than living in love? I mean, what can be? Because if we're doing that, all these other things, they don't amount to a hill of beans. The big mountain that we see in front of us that's going to be so hard to climb and overcome is nothing. As long as we understand that living in this energy that never changes, never dissipates, and this energy being love, there's nothing that we can't do. So go ahead and do those impossible things and just say, oh my God, I did a miracle. I performed a miracle. And just know that that miracle is never going to include lost love. Because that's a myth. It's never lost. It's what we are. So let's just take this into prayer and let's just know together that the future I want to create requires of me today to bring my awareness fully orbed of love, being the sole total purpose of what I am here for. And knowing that love cannot be far behind a grateful heart and a thankful mind. And knowing that love cannot be far behind forgiveness of self and others. So when we're feeling a little bit astray, we're feeling like we're not totally, completely all together, let's just give thanks for what we are, for what we have, for everything that's available to us, and just open our hearts to receiving more and more, because it's from this basis, coupled with forgiving ourselves for not being perfect all the time, that brings our awareness back to that undying, eternal, infinite, forever ours thing we call love. We can't wait for life to not be hard anymore, to be in gratitude for what we have. And we can't wait for life to not be hard anymore, to express the love that is our birthright, to express the love that is our God-given essence. So it's just with grateful heart that I say, thank you, God. Thank you for this knowing. Thank you for this ability. Thank you for this awareness that my life is love. And so is the life of every other creature on this planet. So just release this word into that law of the universe, that law of cause and effect, that knows only to say yes and only to return to me that which I put out. And when that which I put out is love, that is what I get back. Thank you, God. And together we say, so it is. This is our opportunity to share that abundance that has been given so well and so eternally to us. We know that all of our good comes from the one source, God. And for this we are grateful. Let me just take a minute to thank also those people who are not in the sanctuary with us, but are watching from home. Thank you for your continued support. Whether you mail it in, drop it by during the week to see one of our practitioners, or donate online, thank you, because without these gifts of love, we would not be able to continue in any meaningful sort of fashion our work here as Science of Mind practitioners in our community. So let's just know that we bless these gifts, these tithes, these offerings, knowing that they are given from the central core of who we are, which is God made manifest on this plane. So it is.
Don't go changing to try and please me. You never let me down before. Don't imagine you're too familiar. I don't see you anymore. I would not leave you in times of trouble. We never could have come this far. I took the good times, I'll take the bad times, I'll take you just the way you are. And I need to know that you will always be the same old someone that I knew. Does it take for you to believe in me the way that I believe in you? Yes, I promise from the heart, I couldn't love you any better. I love you just the way you are.
We love you just the way you are. Wow. It's nice to be a part of the family, and it's great to have you, so thank you and welcome. So, let's just all stand up and know together that something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called love.
It's this thing called love.
Love is my energy.
Love is my energy.
And I expend it carelessly.
And I expend it carelessly.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
And it comes back to me.
And it comes back to me.
Thank you, God.
Thank you, God.